You know, sometimes you see a scene and you think, I've got to capture that, but I don't quite know what to do with it in the moment. So this wonderful skyline with this park in front of it, I'm going to capture it on my phone now so I can be creative with it later on. Right, so this skyline looks fantastic. The thing is that sometimes when you wave your phone up against a skyline, something that's a long way away, it doesn't really fill the frame and it looks different in your mind's eye to what it looks like in your camera. So you're going to need to do something later on, even if you don't quite know what yet. So what I'm going to do is to go into my camera's panorama mode. Now that's a bit hidden away on this phone. It's not across the drawers at the bottom. I need to go into more, where I've got lots of options, including panorama. There we go. Now, looks a little bit different. I've got a choice of lenses. I'm going to go with my 1x lens, which punches in on the background a bit, but still not super detailed, but don't worry about that. Now, when it comes to panorama shots, there's a couple of things I can suggest that can help you capture as solid, as high quality a panorama as you can. The first thing is you don't want to be waving a camera around. You want it to be as sturdy, as solid as possible. So dig the elbows into your ribs, hold the phone nice and steady with both hands. The next thing is, with a panorama, you are rotating around. You're not doing that with your arms, you are rotating your entire body. Your body becomes like a tripod, if you like, for your camera. And then the final thing is know where you start and know where you end. So one thing is, if when you're stood straight on, the middle of where you see your frame being is your kind of straight on position, then you're in a good place. And then try and find where your starting position is and try and find where your ending position is before you hit the shutter button. So what I'm going to do is find my starting position over there, find my ending position just over there, just where the leaves of this bush are fringing the frame, and then find my middle. Now, elbows dug right into my ribs just to try and create as stable a platform as possible. Make sure that my phone is as vertically, horizontally aligned as possible. I've got my grid lines on and I can use that to kind of keep it in line with the horizon. And then starting maybe about 45 degrees to the left of the main point of interest, which is the city in the distance. Just going to hit that shutter button and then very slowly, just watching my horizon, very slowly move across to the right until I've reached my end point. Just going to do another one of those, but this time really focus on making it as straight as possible, because sometimes it's quite easy to kind of end up pointing upwards at the end, whereas you're pointing down beforehand. So helpfully I've got my grid lines on the screen here, and also there is kind of natural horizon across the park here, as far as I can see, where the tree cover is there, assuming that that's sort of nice and flat. If I keep the bottom grid line on my phone aligned with that as I'm moving around, then I have a fighting chance of keeping this shot nice and level as well. So let's just find my grid line. Now what this is also doing is giving me much more of the sky, and I think that's going to be a good thing, because not only is the skyline a real hero of this shot, I think the sky is too. We've got some wonderful clouds here and the wonderful blues, as well as the green on the field here, really contrasts nicely. So I think that's all going to contribute to a beautiful, beautiful frame. Here we go. So focusing on keeping it nice and steady, we are underway, moving the whole body across the frame, and that's where we end. Lovely. I'm going to do one more, and this time, remember, my camera gave me the option of using the wide-angled lens. Just for the giggles, let's see what it looks like. Just give it a go. All the way to the left. Move my whole body around to the right. and hit that shutter button. And that is that image taken. Now, of course, the thing about a panorama shot like this is that what it's doing is stitching together lots of different frames all into one big composite shot, which means that there's going to be lots of detail in that big file, which will enable me to go ahead and edit or crop it later on. That's the theory. Let's see if it works. My first panorama shot was not my most successful. I've probably gone too far to the left and too far to the right because I've got the trees and bushes on either side of me in the shot. I don't need those. And when I do zoom in, I can see that I've also not been so true to the horizon. Look at the angle that the entirety of the city's on compared with this park. It's something that probably could be fixed in post, but overall you kind of want to try and get as much of the image right in camera as you can, and I don't think I've quite got enough right in this image. This is what happens when you take a panorama shot with a wide-angled lens, and well, first of all, it barely feels like a panorama. I've got so much of the view in here, but yet it's still kind of square or old-fashioned TV 4:3 sized. I can zoom all the way in, of course, but because it's such a wide-angled lens, I'm really barely making out the skyline in the background. The trees nearer seem much taller than the skyscrapers. I do have a good chunk of sky in there, but I've also got maybe too much of the burnt grass in front of it. So interesting to see, but maybe not successful to look at after the event. This is the most successful panorama shot that I've taken today, trying to balance that skyline and the sky. There is a bit of bush on the right-hand side, but I'm going to allow myself that because as I start to punch in and crop in, what I get is something that just ticks all of the boxes. Unlike with a wide-angled lens, these skyscrapers now stand out, clearly visible on the horizon line there. At the same time, I've got a really pleasing composition of clouds that just fill the available space. And then as an added bonus here, on the slither of the field, the playing fields in front, I've got somebody with their dog, which I think just provides a nice sense of foreground and of scale with the background as well. So all of those elements combined create an image that I'm really, really happy with. Sky, skyline, composition, colour. Lovely.